Alright, so here's another fun one. What do I think were the top 10 Oscar wins that didn't age well? These aren't necessarily like the top 10 worst Oscar wins of all time. It's just those that make you scratch your head a little bit. Where you go, that person won, or that movie won over something much better, especially years and decades on. Now, I was so overwhelmed putting together this list that I decided to just focus on the top 4 categories: actress, actor, director, and picture. If I were to do this for the supporting acting category, screenplay, the tech categories, we would be here for hours. And trust me, this list is by no means comprehensive. I might have to do a couple follow-up videos on this topic. But for now, let's dig into my list of the Oscar wins that didn't age well, starting with number 10, Best Actress, Helen Hunt, in As Good as It Gets.
And the Oscar goes to Helen Hunt, As Good as It Gets.
So as I've talked about on the channel once or twice before, I'm not a huge fan of the movie As Good as It Gets. It's fine, it's okay. Like, I admit the performances in it are pretty good. I was perfectly happy to see them get nominated for Best Actor, Actress, Supporting Actor. But 25 years on, I'm still kind of surprised it won both Best Actor and Best Actress, especially Best Actress for Helen Hunt, because I think by far the better performance in that Best Actress category was Judi Dench for Mrs. Brown. I mean, Hunt even starts her acceptance speech by saying how gobsmacked she was by Dench's performance in that film. This kind of felt like a popularity win for me. She was big on Mad About You around this time. And I feel like Helen Hunt just rode the popularity of her show and her movie As Good as It Gets to an Oscar victory. I don't think this win has aged well at all. This one should have gone to Judi Dench. Number 9, Best Director, Kevin Costner for Dances with Wolves.
Kevin Costner for Dances with Wolves.
So I saw Dances with Wolves once a few years ago. It was fine, like it's a solid movie. It's definitely impressive for being Kevin Costner's feature film debut as a director. It's not a terrible win by any means. It makes sense. The Academy loves to reward epics often in Best Director and Best Picture, but I think Goodfellas is Martin Scorsese's masterpiece. I'm happy he finally won an Oscar many years later for The Departed, but when you look over the last few decades in Academy Awards history, it is kind of frustrating to see Martin Scorsese lose Best Director first to Robert Redford for his feature directorial debut, Ordinary People, in 1981, and then a decade later, in 1991, Scorsese loses yet again to another actor, making his feature directorial debut. Ordinary People is a terrific film, so that one can stay. I'm happy Redford won an Oscar at some point in his career. But 10 years later, we could have given Dances with Wolves Best Picture. Costner was a producer on that film, so he would have won for that. But then in Best Director, come on. That one should have gone to Martin Scorsese for his all-timer masterpiece, Goodfellas. Number 8, Best Picture, Green Book.
And the Oscar goes to Green Book.
I don't know about you, but I still get a little bit of a pain in the pit of my stomach when I think of Julia Roberts opening the Best Picture envelope at the 2019 Oscar ceremony and saying, with a grin, Green Book. Like, again, I feel like I'm going to say this a lot in the video. Green Book was fine. It wasn't a bad movie. I thought it was entertaining. I enjoyed it while I watched it. But the Best Picture of the year over Roma, A Star is Born, The Favorite, and it just drives me insane when the movie that the most people like ends up winning Best Picture. It's not the movie the Academy necessarily has the most passion for, it's just the movie in the group that nobody really hates, and so it ends up winning Best Picture. I don't think I'm alone in suggesting that the Best Picture win for Green Book has aged very poorly. Number 7, Best Actor, Art Carney in Harry and Tonto.
The winner is Art Carney in...
So if the perfectly entertaining Harry and Tonto had come out a different year and had won Art Carney the Best Actor Academy Award, I probably wouldn't be too mad about it. Like, he's very good in the movie. It's really an acting showcase for that actor from beginning to end. But come on, this is the year of Jack Nicholson in Chinatown and Al Pacino in The Godfather Part 2. One of the great performances of the 70s, probably all time in the movies, is Pacino as Michael Corleone in the 1974 sequel. He is on another level in that movie, and it kind of stuns me to this day he didn't win, considering he was on his third Oscar nomination in just 3 years, and The Godfather Part 2 won Best Director and Best Picture that year. It's very strange to me that the Academy would give the movie all of that love, but then in Best Actor reward Carney over Pacino. It's kind of silly, honestly, and you know what? The same thing goes for my number 6 choice, Best Actor, Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman.
Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman.
Now, Pacino's Best Actor win in 1993 is not a mystery. The guy had been nominated over and over for 20 years. He was double nominated that night. Like, it was time. Scent of a Woman got into Best Picture. It was a pretty popular film in 1992, so it makes sense why Pacino won. I think all of us can agree. We're happy that Pacino has an Academy Award, but for that movie, for that performance, this is an Oscar win that didn't age well for 2 reasons. One, this is not the performance he should have his gold trophy for. He should have gotten his gold trophy for The Godfather or Serpico or Godfather Part 2. Like, if Pacino was only going to win 1 Oscar in his long career, it should have happened in the 70s. He's perfectly fine in Scent of a Woman, but it just doesn't scream Academy Award winning performance. The second reason why this win didn't age well is that there's a much better performance in the category, Denzel Washington in Malcolm X. This was 3 years after Washington's Best Supporting Actor win for Glory, and although it's awesome he did eventually win a leading actor Oscar for Training Day, I think the better film and performance Washington should have won in lead actor was Malcolm X. Number 5, Best Director, John G. Avildsen for Rocky.
John G. Avildsen for Rocky.
1976 is an astonishing year in cinema. So many of my favorite films came out that year. Now, I like Rocky. It's solid. It's a good movie. And you know what? That Best Picture win can stay. We can give Rocky Best Picture. But the win for the film's director, Avildsen, I've always kind of shrugged at that one. I don't think anything he does in terms of the direction of that movie, in terms of how it looks. Like, it's serviceable, he's doing a solid job, but here's the deal. One of my favorite directors of all time never won a competitive Oscar. I'm talking about Sidney Lumet, who should have won at least 2 director Oscars in his long career. I do think Lumet's masterpiece is Network. What a beautifully written and directed piece of filmmaking that is. It's so alive, so startling. Sidney Lumet should have won Best Director for Network, and then we could have had Rocky, I guess, win Best Picture. Everybody would have been happy, and the great Sidney Lumet would have had his competitive Oscar. And now, with my number 4 choice, we move into the 71st Academy Awards in early 1999, where we're going to stay for a few minutes. Let's start with Best Actor, Roberto Benigni in Life is Beautiful.
Roberto Benigni in Life is Beautiful.
I didn't get it then, I don't get it now. I don't understand, outside of like Harvey Weinstein's influence on the campaign that year, how Life is Beautiful ended up doing as well as it did at the Oscars. I mean, Best Foreign Language Film made sense, but then Benigni winning Best Actor over Tom Hanks and Nick Nolte and Edward Norton, and especially Ian McKellen in Gods and Monsters. That is a phenomenal performance. McKellen still to date has never won an Oscar, and he lost for that performance in that wonderful movie to Roberto Benigni in Life is Beautiful. I've never understood this one. That was a big shrug for me. Roberto Benigni's Best Actor Gold Trophy should have gone to anyone else. And you know what? I kind of feel the same way about that year's Best Actress winner. My number 3 choice is Best Actress Gwyneth Paltrow in Shakespeare in Love.
Gwyneth Paltrow, Shakespeare in Love.
Again, oh boy, the Harvey Weinstein effect, getting his actors Oscar victories, getting his movie a Best Picture win. Well, hold on, more on that in a second. A few months ago, I put out my worst acting Oscar wins of all time video, and the name I saw that came up over and over in the comments as like, how did you forget this win? How did you forget her, Gwyneth Paltrow? Like, she's good in Shakespeare in Love. I do think she's one of the better things about that movie. It's not a bad performance, and as I said before, like in a different year, like when the category wasn't so stacked with amazing performances, a win for Paltrow might have been okay, but here's the deal. In this Best Actress lineup, we have Cate Blanchett for Elizabeth and Fernanda Montenegro for Central Station. Like, these are two of the finest performances of the 90s, and they lose to Gwyneth Paltrow for Shakespeare in Love. No. This should never have happened, kind of like what I talked about with Helen Hunt. It was kind of a popularity win for Gwyneth Paltrow. She was the it girl of the moment. She had 4 or 5 films in 1998. She was everywhere, all over the place, and in a movie that many, many people liked. So she wins Best Actress, and yeah, it is a win that's aged kind of poorly. Same goes for my number 2 choice at the same ceremony, Best Picture, Shakespeare in Love.
Shakespeare in Love.
So this win, I believe, has aged poorly for 2 main reasons. The first one, of course, is that Saving Private Ryan is a much better film. I think Steven Spielberg's World War II epic has aged much better in the last 24, 25 years than Shakespeare in Love. Like, are people really watching and sharing and loving Shakespeare in Love today? I probably watch Saving Private Ryan once every few years, and I always get something new out of it. It is such a rich, fascinating human story. It was the movie most people thought was going to win Best Picture that night, and it should have won Best Picture, especially since the number 2 reason why Shakespeare in Love's Best Picture victory has not aged well is that the number 1 man who really did everything in his power, with his influence, with his dollars, to make this win happen was the disgraced Harvey Weinstein, who was on the stage giving a speech. Why are we giving Weinstein a moment to talk? It's so absurd. He has proven himself to be an awful human being. And so yeah, this Best Picture win for Shakespeare in Love just always makes me feel really icky inside. But you know what? It's not the number 1 choice, because a few years later, there was another movie that did not deserve to come even close to the Best Picture category, and it won over one of my favorite films of the last 20 years. Come on, you knew this one was coming. My number 1 choice is Best Picture, Crash.
And the Oscar goes to Crash.
So this might not be like the worst Best Picture winner of all time. Like Cimarron, Cavalcade, The Greatest Show on Earth, Around the World in 80 Days, Driving Miss Daisy. I mean, Crash is certainly up there. I don't know if I would pick it as like the worst Best Picture winner ever, but what continues to infuriate me is that Brokeback Mountain deserved to win the Oscar that year for Best Picture. It swept pretty much everywhere else that season. It was far and away the best movie in the category. It is a modern classic. Every time I revisit this one, it's just deeper, more emotionally resonant than it was before. Heath Ledger's performance just guts me every time I watch it. Who the hell nowadays is revisiting Crash? Like, this movie is fine, it's not terrible, there's some good performances in it, but this one has definitely aged poorly. It felt for me at the time not a vote for Crash, but a vote for many against Brokeback Mountain. I think enough people were just looking for an alternative, those that weren't passionate about Brokeback Mountain, like many of us were, and because of that Best Ensemble win at SAG, Crash was able to gain enough momentum to defeat Brokeback Mountain at the 78th Academy Awards. This one still makes me sick. It is so absurd. In the long history of the Academy Awards, abso-frickin-lutely, that Best Picture victory for Crash is the #1 Oscar win that didn't age well at all.